Is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that infinite human is you. Join Elizabeth Monroy weekly for enlightening discussions, multi-dimensional journeys, profound meditations, and empowering visualizations as we co-create the new consciousness renaissance together with other blossoming infinite human beings who are shifting the old paradigms of our broken, fragmented, finite 3D Earth and alchemizing it into a more expansive, unified, loving, infinite reality by reclaiming their true divine, infinite power within as the co-creators of the new infinite Earth. Join us weekly for the Infinite Human Talk Show, hosted by Elizabeth Monroy, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time.
Hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Elizabeth Monroy. I'm your host for the Infinite Human Talk Show. And for those of you who've been following me for the past year, so sorry about my very long hiatus, but it was much needed. And I basically spent the past 4 months deep in the Yucatan jungle, healing and regenerating and really kind of contemplating the next level of my soul mission on the planet. And now I'm with the Bold and Brave TV. Very excited to be here. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful platform that will reach so many people. And I feel like I have a lot to share, a lot to say. Again, always placing you, the power back to you, and you as the infinite, divine, angelic beings who are awakening to the magnificence of your own power. So, welcome. Today we have a wonderful guest, and it happens to be St. Patrick's Day, and she's from Ireland. She's been on my show before. Her name is Mary Costello, and we're going to bring her on, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about herself. But I think one of the most beautiful things about her in her soul mission is that she is about restoring the order of love. And right now, I think many of you are feeling that, we're in such a challenging year. This is 2025. In numerology, it's 9. So it's a year of many completion cycles, and it's really learning your lessons and moving through all the past so you can be really ready for 2026, which is a year of new beginnings. And of course, there's a lot of questions about what is truth, what is real, as we are kind of being force-fed artificial intelligence. And it's nice to know that the ultimate truth is always love. And I always think of love and infinite God source as one. The infinite love, infinite source, infinite truth is ultimately love. So without further ado, let me bring on our guest, Mary Costello from the Emerald Isle of Ireland. Welcome, Mary.
Hello. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And thank you for having me on your first show here. It's a wonderful honor. Thank you. I wore green especially for today, for St. Patrick's Day. My name is Mary Costello. To anyone who hasn't heard me before, seen me speaking before, essentially I'm working in devotion to the Eternal Mother principle, the actual Great Mother, and the remembrance of that principle within our consciousness in a very tangible way. And essentially the point of that is to restore the womb, which holds us all, which is the origin of all life, so that we can, if we are held within the correct womb within our consciousness, if we understand the womb that we are held within, then we can find ourselves, we can find our bearings and our true nature in relation to that. And like you said, the order of love is the governing order of the womb. Of course, every infant is loved unconditionally within the womb. And I'm working on the premise, the deep knowing that we are always within the creational womb. We never leave it. So therefore, we need to learn the way of love and the way of loving breath, and knowing replenishment, symbiotic knowing of replenishment and safety, so that we can really truly actualize into all that we're meant to be.
Beautiful. I always
Yeah.
love listening to you. I always bring people in that are very inspiring because that's part of my mission. And I know these are tricky times. They're challenging times. I'm not going to be all just fairy dust right now. And I've been through some major challenges down in the Yucatan. I had a very eye-opening experience. But I think I kind of want to put that in its proper place, because I think when you understand what's going on in the magnitude of things, it helps you to navigate. And I think really, as I said before, this year is a year of clearing out the distortions. And we spoke about this before. It's clearing out the dark mother distortions and the dark father,
Mhm.
the magnetic, which is the divine feminine, clearing that and clearing the dark masculine, the really, I'd say, distorted electrical that has been running in pretty much in command, which is actually
Mhm.
supposed to respond to the magnetic, but instead we've had it in this inverted, perverted, upside down world in which we have been living. So now everything is straightening itself out, but for many of us, it feels like you're in the middle of the storm, like everything's going crazy around you, because it's not actually going crazy. It's becoming sane. We've been living in an insane world, and now we're restoring sanity, love, correct pulses, the correct, uh, magnetic and electrical pulsing. We're restoring the Christic codes, the Crystalla spiral, and the base pulse of the Christic codes rather than the Metatronic codes, which we've been forced to live by and not even knowing it. So it's like we've been in this container of dirty, dirty, low frequency, and the frequencies are now opening up, expanding. But the parasites, I just say that because it includes everybody, off planet, on planet, whatever. It's a big category. But the parasites don't want that. So they're trying to throw everything they can at us right now. And it's getting so crazy that some people are like, I don't know what's real anymore, especially now that we have AI that can make dancing, ping, whatever, make anybody say anything. So it's hard to know what's real. But I think that's just part of the process. Do you want to talk about the clearing out of the distortions?
Yeah, it's actually everything you said there really gets me thinking of a couple of things. When you say that we're witnessing the storm, and we truly are, but it's because we are the eye of the storm, or let's say the lighthouse in the water. That's why we are witnessing now, rather than, it's not so easy to be, gathered into these false empathy waves, to have our emotions played with. And it does feel much more like we are witnessing. And it is in our witnessing, in this, as the eye of the storm, as the pillar of calm, that things are finding their order. So that's wonderful, how we're not being that weaponization of the emotions, where we can just be swept away in wild feelings, that isn't there at this moment. And there is big changes when you talk about the clearing out of the dark mother and the dark father. Truly, it's this, like, it's a the space between the dark father and the dark mother, the forgotten mother, and the false father, was pure chaos and pure contention, and everything was out of order. So all of that is changing, and I do feel really heartened actually with what I'm witnessing, and I see the presence of the fire in the heart. I see the presence of the fire in the heart, and I see those people leading, speaking, making decisions, and wherever we bring that flame, that shadow, that darkness evaporates, um, and the parasitic system. I can talk in more in detail about any of this, Elizabeth, as you choose. But the parasitic system is truly when people were kept outside of light, outside of provision, outside of the knowing of the symbiotic safety and provision, people were, cast into a fallen state and having to parasite off one another to get ahead. And I don't know where everyone ends up with that, but I do know good people finish first in this paradigm that we're talking about now, which is
That's
great.
good to hear, because I want to
Yeah.
bring this down to a real,
Mm,
you know, gut level and a personal
mm,
level. And I'm going to share what happened to me, because I feel like it happens. I feel like we're at a really pivotal point. Of course, we are in the whole history of our universe and our time matrix. And I haven't shared this with you, I don't think, but I've really had a chance to think it over. But I was staying at an eco resort, Mayan Gardens in Mahahual, Mexico, and it was a beautiful place. I wanted to get into a place that was away from the high five OG trees and be in nature and walk barefoot. And really, the frequencies were so high, they were off the chart. And I did some major deep cellular healing. In fact, one of the women that came there had terminal cancer, and she healed it. So it just,
wow.
and that kind of proved what I had written in my book, the Infinite Human, that the future of healing and medicine and everything is to be in the high frequencies of our organic earth. And it was amazing, just swimming in the sea and being in the jungle and walking in sand. But I got hoodwinked kind of there. And I think we have had conversations about how we tend to be very loving, and I think that's the nature. In fact, we even were joking about loving our parasites, one time. They're our little babies. And I think this is a lesson for a lot of people, a lot of what I call Christic people, whether you call yourself light workers, indigos, but those of us that came here to be the change. And especially women, because we have
Yes.
just, then the power of love is very strong. But I think one of the things, the lessons that we're learning now, I'm learning, is tough love, tough
Mhm.
love, because you're not helping people if you're allowing them to parasite off of you. You are
Yeah.
not helping them. You're not pushing them to learn their lessons, to pay off their karma, to shift, to change their behavior. But, part of
Mm,
us is like, oh, this little child. And I kind of been thinking about the fairy tale of Pinocchio. And
mhm.
interesting, because I came back to Sicily, and so glad to be back in Italy and Sicily. I love it here. But Pinocchio had 5 gold coins stolen from him, and I had 3 gold coins stolen from me,
Okay.
which is a lot of money nowadays because gold's really high.
Yeah.
And the thing, though, I started to look into the tale of Pinocchio because it kept coming up for me. And the real meaning of the word Pinocchio in Italian,
Mm.
because nobody knows that, but
No.
Pino is like pineal, okay?
Okay.
Occhio means eye. So it's all about Pinocchio, this wooden boy, this fake boy's journey and adventures in learning how to open his third eye and to
Mhm.
become real, to become true, and to stop telling lies. Because every time he would tell a lie, of course we know his nose would grow, but he would tell lies to his fairy, who was kind of like his eternal divine mother. And as he lied to her, he was lying to himself too. And
Mm.
he was turned into a jackass. I mean, he had all these things, and he was manipulated or handled. I like that. I've been using that word in my newsletter. Handled by the fox and the cat, who had told him to plant his gold coins and they would grow. Of course,
Yeah.
they stole them. But I had the same thing happen because I was working, like, there's a lot of poverty there. So I was working with
Mm.
one of the young boys that cleans the
Mm.
rooms, talking to him about, in fact, he helped me set up my
Mm.
equipment, and, just encouraging him along. And then after he cleaned my room, he cleaned me out. I was
Oh
like,
dear.
how stupid. And I knew it. I at some level, of course, I knew it. But I think what that teaches me, and I think the lesson many of us are learning, is that we have to stop now. This is the year
Mhm.
that the two timelines, whether you call them the Fibonacci, the Costello, the ascending timeline, the descending timeline, are snapping. They're snapping in May. So it's going to get
Oh.
harder and harder. You can't go back and forth as much, because when you go back into the fallen with the people that are not choosing to move
Mm.
forward, they're going to be parasiting and pulling valuable quantum energy from you that you need to be creating something new and really beautiful. And that's what led me down there, only I was handled. And I'm going to
Yes.
talk about that word in a minute. So anyway, do you want to say
Mhm.
anything to that? I
Yeah,
always have wise
sure.
advice.
Oh no, I'm sorry that happened to you. But I understand when you spoke of, your inclination to help, and this is so we're learning the what's happening. We're learning because everything's happening so in real time and like instant. And karma isn't the word; it's just consequence, instant consequence.
Mhm.
So everything is being shown to us. So we're just learning the subtleties of this paradigm, and that inclination that we all have. Like you said, it's so much a part of the feminine. It truly is to like overgive. um this is one of the things we had to do within that parasitic system. So when we were interacting with fallen people who are fallen consciousness which could not rise, we then chose to overgive of ourselves and to put ourselves on the platter truly and be the resource. But now in this paradigm where we are is learning it for ourselves and then helping each other learn it, is that everyone can rise in the right way. Nobody, and of course people can choose, and then even if it's people close to us and they choose to stay as they are, somehow we have to be okay with that. It's kind of imperative, right? We don't really have a choice with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay, first of all, unconditional love is something that very few of us, we've had maybe moments of it, but our whole planet has
Mhm.
not run on that. And it's something that really exists. And I think that's what the true divine father and divine mother give forth. And unconditional love means they love you no matter what. And they give you the
Mhm.
freedom, the free will
Yes.
that God gave us all to fall, to explore, to discover, to make mistakes. And that is hard, but that is true love. That is true love. That is true love.
Yeah.
But now for women, you're right. We've been pushed into this corner of overgiving because we've had to,
Mhm.
we've had to, because the balance has not been, I mean, we had to overcompensate for all the darkness that was
Mhm.
so prevalent and dominant in our dark masculine world of
Yeah.
competition and everything. I mean, I don't have to go into that. I think most people know that.
Yeah.
But and because that, one, we got comfortable there, and two, it has a lot to do with self-worth, because we have been done such a number of being
Mhm.
miserable. We've talked about this before. I call it the
Mm.
putana Eva, the prostitute Eve complex, the original sin. Every religion has put women at the bottom of the modern religions. And we have to really, really embrace our worth and realize and our power, because we're
Mhm.
so powerful. We're magnetic. We are
Mhm.
that which sets the tone. It sets the intention of the universe, of our mother's intention. So
Yeah.
it's a soul searching year, and I think a lot of us, especially women, we're going to be going through it, because we can't slide by anymore. I mean, that came up so much in my face because I lost a lot of money, and it wasn't so much the money, but it was like the feeling like someone had just gone through all
Mhm.
my things and taken from me. And I don't think we need to set really clear boundaries so that
Mhm.
we can do our highest job, not be like waitresses walking around picking up everyone's dirty dishes.
Oh, 100%. 100% what you say about um like, okay, if we are feeding the parasitic consciousness, there's something we are starving, right? There's something we're not taking care of, and we're tending to that false child energy of this narcissistic pulling, or this fallen, pulling energy that's seeking more than it deserves. And it deserve not in the way of morality, but just everything is breath, right? So there's a give and take, there's a, intention and action. We are in, the currency of correspondence. The method of exchange is breath. There is a balancing breath now that we are within. There's a balancing of consequence. So all that any of us can actually demand is our own consequences. There's nothing more for us. And of course, when we get in the right frame of mind, and we can, be generous of spirit and grateful, we may receive huge amounts of grace and dispensation. That's available to us too, as a gift, as a delight. But where we are now is just we are receiving our consequences, and that is not for punishment. It's just so that we can come back to ourselves. We can follow our consequences through, figure out what the intention was, or where the intention was absent. Maybe we created a lot of our things with unseen intentions, which is a lot of us have done that. We've just created things in our life haphazardly. We are being given this beautiful opportunity to follow walk through our consequences, feel them, and find our way back to the intention and occupy that intention with a pure, true intention for what we feel is best at this time. We're to occupy the fullness of ourself. Shadow is only space without pattern. If there's any part of us that has been haphazard and absent-minded, absent-hearted in the intentionality of living our lives, we are now being given the beautiful opportunity to go into those places and fill them with the pattern of ourselves, with our purest intentions.
And, I think right now, especially for the women, it's going to take a lot of courage, self-worth and courage,
Mm.
because we're going against the grain. But the truth is, by remaining in the place, I guess, I'm thinking of Dirty Dancing. Nobody pushes baby in the corner. By remaining in the corner that we've been pushed into, we're enabling we're actually enablers, because we're allowing these the distorted masculine to continue its parade around, its false paradigm, pretending that it is doing good for the planet and all this, and I think it's going to take a lot of us. I've noticed that we had Women's Day here when I arrived in Sicily, and usually, we get the mimosas. We have yellow mimosas. They didn't bloom this year, so there's no mimosas. And I went to this restaurant where, all the women usually come. I was the only one. I said, "What's going on?" He goes, the owner says, "I don't know. The Sicilian women are crazy, but I've noticed the women are getting pissed right now." I mean, I'm talking about like Sicilian women. I saw this one thing in Germany where they were like on Women's Day. They were so angry. I mean, I never saw so much anger, and I think it's a necessary
Mhm.
stage, because they're just letting out all the seething rage for being
Mhm.
squashed, and for
Yeah.
so many eons. So I think
Mhm.
it's okay. I mean, it's just part of the feeling and
Mhm.
healing. But then once we can get through that, instead of like biting every man's head off, but then we have to just be the firm, loving, tough love, saying no, no, we're not going to
Mhm.
support these fallen systems anymore. No, we're not going to patch you up, and push you back out there, because you're just you're a wheel in the cog of the whole
Yes.
distorted, screwed up mechanism that is just wreaking havoc on our world. So
Yeah.
it's time. It's time for us to step, even just sciopero, as they say in Italian, strike, don't
Yeah.
participate in these fallen
Yeah.
systems anymore.
Yeah.
It's
There
going to
is
be
anger,
huge. Go
There
ahead.
is anger. And it's because, and this is even the sons of this consciousness, the sons that have been raised with this consciousness of um masculine, let's say, entitlement and domination, like truly, occupying every space, being the loudest voice, getting the biggest portion, getting the first gifting, like everything kind of centered around placating the masculine, truly. And this has been programmed into them. So even with the sons of that, which are only children, perhaps we this is what I witness and what I have to contend with and what I have to re-educate with is, this kind of feeling of there can still be within even the loveliest of all of us these programs that say that the masculine suffering is more valid than the feminine's. The masculine's, the man's pain is more painful than that of a girl or a woman. The boy's voice is more influential than the voice of a girl or a woman. So we have to continually orientate our boys away from that, and they will listen, but we have to remember this is our position now. We are re-educating. We are re-educating for the purpose of freedom, because we are bringing them back to the truth of themselves. Because essentially, when we're telling them to listen to the feminine voice, that might be their mother, but in the end, that's their intuition. So we're bringing them back to their intuition, which is freedom for them, which is brings them away from that sacrificial system, which is, it looks like it's based on masculine power. It's actually based off of the sacrifice of boys and men. Essentially, that's what that system is based off, and of course, it has its own equal punishment for the women in that. But so it's never like men versus women, but it feels like that because of that brash kind of obnoxious presence sometimes that is forcibly taken just out of pure habit. And the thing about the women, using our voices to set the tone and to offer the order and to at least see, it's not, we're not just turning into men. We're not just taking the consciousness that we are fed up of and just dominating that. It's a completely different way of tone setting and offering order. It is like Elizabeth said, offering order as in, no, we're not doing that. This is how I want it. It's never about dominating anyone else. And we never have to, because we have so much power individually. All we have to do is say no. And so much of the energy supply of the system is taken away from it. But we need to occupy our voice, because in the gap, in that space where our voice isn't heard, we're reneging on our responsibilities as the tone holders of our space. And that's not just for us and even just in our homes. We have to set the tone in everywhere we go. And if we are interacting with or in relationships with people who become aggressive and intimidating when we speak our voice, we shouldn't be in those situations. There are other places where we can speak our truth and expand it out. But we need to, if there are situations where we are being trained to be quiet, to be frightened, to be docile, then we are being bullied. That's bullying. That's not what they call it, this polarity dynamic between masculine and feminine. That's not what that is. That's actually bullying. A woman should be able to speak freely at all times, and a man should be able to respond and rise to the occasion, not crumple the woman's voice.
Yes, I agree. I just want to orient this because, really, this is all about ascension. I mean, we're in an ascension cycle. It's all about returning to infinite God source, getting on the
Yeah.
correct beam steering back, correcting ourselves. And it's an inside job, okay? It's an inside job. I know there's a lot of masses, and the energy's coming in, we're all feeling it, but we're all responding in our own way. And so really it's always the woman, we individually as women,
Mhm.
as divine angelic infinite beings, but how we're going to balance and how we're going to express our masculinity and our femininity. But
Mm.
one of the things I'm just gonna, all I can talk about is me and what my personal experience and what I observe, because you can't save anyone else. I'm not here to convince or teach, and even I'm here to remind you, to as a catalyst for you to remember who you are, how amazing and divine you are. And part of remembering and restoring our divine goddess, masculine, feminine, balanced status is to stop giving our power away. I mean, we really have. And part of what was going on with me, I just keep remembering it because at this Echo Village, I didn't know it, but I'd gone there because the woman had said she was interested in selling it. And I was interested in finding people who had expressed an interest in, investing in having a retreat center, like an Echo retreat center there. So I'd gone there and I didn't know it, but they're Mormon. Now, I've worked with Mormons. Peter and I have worked with Mormons. Mormons are the second richest church on the planet. Everyone's looking at the Catholics. And it's run by men, completely, totally dominated. And I was a mental health counselor there for the women. And the women just were so miserable. Their children were being sexually abused by their fathers or their uncles, or, because they all had many aunts and uncles. I mean, it was the most dark, incestual, distorted masculine, miasmic breeding ground, the Mormon religion. In fact, they keep all our genetics on file. So I'm not prescribing any religion, but that has a lot of, everyone talks about the Catholic Church being very satanic and all that. Well, let's look at the Mormon Church. And what happened was I found myself kind of like, it was the dark mother. I was kind of like, a part of me wanted to save her, part of me, because she reminded me of my mother and how, she had so much potential. She was an artist. She came across as a very kind person. But in the end, I realized she was being manipulated, in the dark by her husband, by the church, by the fallen Elohim that the Mormon church worships. They worship the Elohim, but it's the new Elohims for anyone that knows about the true history of this time matrix and the Quranic science. But so I stepped in. It was kind of that wanting, and I think I have that a lot with the Dark Mother, of wanting to save, wanting to rescue my sisters, my mothers, the other women. But guys, it's your power. Stop giving it away to men. At the same time, I had someone who was calling out to me, and it was another speaker another person I had on my talk show a lot, and I think you just had him on, and they were saying, "Oh, he said this, he said that. Oh, I should do this." And I'm like, think for yourself, just because he's a man with gray hair, don't give all your power. And I see so many women just looking for, or some guy that looks like Cesare Borgia, which is really what the Jesus Christ that they made all the pictures about were, a bastard son of a pope, but that looks like Jesus. It's this willingness just to, one person smiles at us or says something kind to us or flatters us, or and they're perfect, they're the divine male we've been waiting for, and we give away our power. We don't think, women are leading right now. We have I believe we just our magnetic intuitive nature is coming back online. So we're the ones that are going to be restoring things. So we have to stop looking for that person that's going to save us or make everything right, or the POTUS that's going to, or this dynamic duel of, sorry, I don't want to get all political here, but the Trump Musk duel. Oh, they're going to save everything. Artificial intelligence is going to tell us all the secrets, metaphysical secrets of the universe. I mean, it's just that, and I'm just saying what people have been coming up back with me, and I just kind of went, okay, I'm going into the jungle. Bye.
I don't blame you. But it's okay. So it is, like you said, it's women leading the way, and it's more. Let me get even more specific than to say it's women leading the way. It is the intuition. It is the water voice that's leading the way. So it's about our sensitivity is the most important thing, and our fearless in interaction with supposed reality. Be in this sensitivity, we will become more identified with the fractal, than with the form. So we will stop negotiating with these forms that we do not believe in, and we will literally create reality with our words, with our visions. We will see that the nature, we will sensitively in tune the nature of all things, and we will call it to be the way we want it to be. That is what gets us to the next step. But what you say about, that inclination to save. Sorry if I sound really congested. I am. But that inclination to save, I totally understand that. I have a situation like this too. I fully understand that, and I don't think it's a dark, just to say it maybe once or twice. I don't think that's a terrible thing. It's just when we have to realize. I think what I have learned with that dynamic, where I've wanted to, bring a woman away from that dark masculine influence. What I have learned, unfortunately, is that those they're almost like the daughters of the false father, and what they actually do, if you continue with close relationships with these women, they're truly feeding. They're feeding as well as they're being fed on. Yeah. So they're just something that if I've had to kind of, I'm just careful with that, because like you said, that pouring heart that wants to save them, that's the way we get our own energy taken away. And that's a hard one to reconcile. It truly is,
And
but
I
somehow,
found myself,
yeah,
I was in a beautiful place and I was healing
yeah,
myself. But the people that she was attracting there, first of all, I think they'd
hmm,
all been, had the jibby jab like, I don't know,
okay,
umpteen times. And they were probably all like Mormons or something. And, they were just not my tribe. And I began to feel drained. I just finally had to like separate
yeah,
myself out, stop going to the dinner.
hmm,
And I was like, feeling so wonderful again. And then that's
yeah,
when they started kind of like turning. I could feel the energy was turning
hmm,
because they couldn't feed on me anymore. So then
yeah,
they tried to steal, just material things, which was
yeah,
actually probably a lot better than them feeding on your energy because I was so tired and I was,
mm,
the generator for the group that kind of came in and out. So made me
yeah,
think a lot about forming communities because you have to really be, because when any person has a shadow, that
yeah,
they have some other entity that can feed on them and then they feed on you. So it's like yours, there's
yeah,
a bottomless pit there. They're never going to get
mm,
healed. They're never going to get, full until they close off their shadow by healing it. And then they
yeah,
close off the doors in their portals in their auric field that is
mhm,
allowing them to be, because you're not really dealing with them. You might look
no,
at it, it might be your mother, it might be your husband, it might be your partner, it might be your child. But as long as they have shadows, they're really puppets being manipulated. Again, with
mm,
Pinocchio was a puppet, right? By other sources, by other
yeah.
entities.
Yeah, and truly, the only way you can truly feel them, well, some of us can see them, right? But for us in our day-to-day life of how to feel them, it's your intuition. It's what does your belly say? What does your body say? How does your body respond? Because it's vibration. So if there is something like you say, this open portal, and it will be very attracted to someone who is a golden generator, of course. So your body will tell you, do I feel safe? Do I not? Has my speech changed? Am I speaking kind of in a high pitched, stressed out way, or am I in my body? Has my breathing changed, or is my breathing calm? Does my tummy feel sick? Do I feel depleted? It's our body that tells us what vibration we're dealing with, and we don't need to question our body. We just need to respect it, and that's what leads us closer and closer to beautiful friendships and beautiful opportunities, and moves us away from truly energy drains that aren't going anywhere. There's no way of you can't crank them up. There's nothing you can do to make them go the right way if they are committed to going, the wrong way. There's nothing. And I came up with a quote about religions. And I'm not trying to take a swipe at I'm taking a swipe at all religions, no one in particular. So at least it's fair. But the reason religions silence women's natural expression, organic, pure, innocent expression, so they don't have to contend they don't have to upset their dogma and contend with the actual voice of God. Women's voices are the intention of God. The feminine is the intention of God, the intuition voice. But as we speak, we command it. This is why women's voices are so powerful. It's why women would also use their voices to cast spells on people. It can be done the other direction too, but it's also how we can use our voices to create life and to bring things back to life, and to reorder the things in front of us that seem like they're in form, but they're not true. They're not really. We could reorder them using our voice. You know.
Yes. Well, it was the goddesses that kept the earth held in the hand of the high frequencies in complete alignment with the Costello spiral. In ancient times, really back to the future, it was the toning on our movements. And
Wow.
I want to bring this up because I've just also had an amazing experience, because just before my eyes is opening all this ancient Tartarian technology, which was all based on frequency, on tones, on
Yeah.
ether, the ethers that
Yes.
we have been, it's like you talked about religion, father, son, hungry ghost. I say hungry ghost. The women were cut out, and now out of the
Mhm.
earth, fire, water, ether was cut out. They just cut things
True.
out because
Yeah.
and disconnect them because they make no sense in our modern
Mhm.
distorted fallen science. But I really want to, and we'll be talking a lot about this a lot more on this talk show, about this amazing technology that heals you, that resonates, with the higher frequencies, that restores the balance. And I mean, it's amazing, this electricity. I'm not talking about, sorry, this technology. I'm not talking about just free electricity. I'm talking about teleportation. I'm talking about all levitating stones. This was, it is coming back now. People are beginning to see know what they're looking at. And I know why it's coming back, because the veil is thinning, with all the pouring in of all this plasma frequencies, the Christic codes to our sun, the Schumann resonancy,
Mhm.
which is why the distorted electrical males are trying to push everyone in this artificial intelligence. I mean, it's
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, distorted world of electricity. It's a distorted
Mhm.
electricity. It does not harmonize with our mother earth. It is like
Mhm.
juxtaposed. It is like separated from nature. And in fact, it's destructive to our organic bodies. It's destructive to nature.
Mhm.
So, and everyone's like, oh wow, AI, crypto this and the crypt,
Mhm.
and I really want to say, don't be distracted. Don't buy the bad copy, because the real,
Mhm.
true copy is coming back online. And it was the
Yeah.
women, the goddesses with their magnetic power, that knew how to use all these frequencies to maintain themselves. No aging, no disease, to maintain their atmosphere, their homes, and the whole Mother Earth in complete alignment. So it's our time.
Yes. I want to second what you said about the AI. I do, like we all do, these healing meditation, reconnections with all the different elements and parts of nature. And I promised, I made a promise to the trees. I promised them that under our watch, they would not be bypassed in any reconnection of a unified mind. The trees will certainly not be bypassed, because we are a copy of the trees, right? And we are so blessed that they give us breath, and so nature will never be bypassed. So
Nature.
I see this as boys playing with toys. It doesn't even bother me. What I'm trying to say is that it won't work. I have
Yeah,
a
it won't.
strong,
Won't.
yeah, certainty that it will not work. That nothing, there will be a unified mind, and maybe technology will play its part to help. I don't know a lot about technology, but I imagine it could. There's tools there that could help, perhaps, but nothing will be. If they can be harmonized with the correct currency, the currency that I'm working with, that I'm working to cohese, um, everything to be of the one currency is a sapphire currency. And you're just drinking from a blue bottle as I say that. It's a sapphire currency, you know, of the mothers, of the sea, of the free sea. This is the cohesing. This is already in the trees. I've already seen this. It's like this sapphire breath. It moves the currency through the systems that are already here, and we are to be brought into that. We have been, like you said, we've been ambushed by false electrics. This is, I don't know how long that has been going on, but that's been a big thing. And now the sapphire electrics are being pushed through to make sure that we're all brought back to one. And it's all about nature. It's super nature, and it will be an amazing connected mind. It will feel like so magical. Like you said, why have a false copy when this will be a miraculous mind? It truly will.
Well, cobalt or sapphire cobalt is always
Yeah.
it's the will, the divine will of creator, of
Okay.
creation. And I think
Beautiful.
that's one of the things that some people don't understand when I talk about infinite, or when I'm just talking about some feedback I got with people who said,
Mhm.
in my timeline, Trump and Musk are going to be good, or, in my timeline, I'm going to create that. But really, yes, you are creators, infinite. I always say you're co-creators, because you have to co-create to really be a creator with infinite source, which means you have to first surrender. You surrender to infinite source, okay? And
Mm.
that's what infinite is. And then as you surrender, you become one. That's what God realization is, realizing you're God. God is everything. You're one with God. And you follow thy will. Okay. The
Yes.
people that are gods, that are trying to create this electrical, artificial
Hmm.
intelligence. Okay, guys, people, Americans shorten things so fast, and now it's AI. I don't even know what it stands for anymore. Artificial,
Hmm.
not real, fake, like Pinocchio, wooden puppet, artificial intelligence, okay? Stupidity, I call it. So now they're making it like it's more powerful than us. It's going to become self
Yes.
aware. It can't exist without you. It feeds off of you. It's parasitic, guys.
Yeah.
It's not,
Hmm.
of the ethers. It's not of divine infinite source. It's finite. It's finite, okay? So I guess the point, I forgot that point I was making, but I'm very passionate about this because,
Yeah.
okay, everything is, okay, infinite source is coming in. Eternal creation is the serum that is correcting all the architectures, all the distortions of our entire time matrix. That is the beauty. And that is what I refer to often as the Crystal River failsafe, which we've been put into failsafe because all the external, corrections didn't work. The fallen angelics, the parasites, were always one up on us because they have to have us. We don't have to have
Mhm.
them. They have to have us. So the
Yeah.
reason I'm talking about now, and I'm not
Mm.
judging, but I am very adamant because we're at this snap, and it's really important to choose wisely because we've had a lot of fudge time. We've had millions and millions and millions of years to play around and experiment, both good and evil, or whatever, the duality, the illusion of duality. But we are now having to either get with the program, everything's going to be corrected, or it's going to be sloughed off. And if you get too many of these AI electrical distortions, and you have the base pulse of a Metatronic reversals, you're not going to be able to take the Christic path of ascension, which is restoring all your fragmented pieces and healing them, and taking the holy path back, as you remember who you are, as you gain memories, as you return to your family, your brethren. Instead, you will slough off into the phantom matrix, and then you have to return as like space dust, which is not the ultimate.
Mhm.
So I like to point out the dark agendas that are associated,
Yeah.
just kind of so people can say, okay, I don't want to experiment. It's not like
Mhm.
experiment time anymore. So, and that's
Yeah.
why I say what I say.
Oh, for sure, Elizabeth. And there is such a thing as accountability, and it will not be bypassed. And this is why people are trying to bypass nature, because nature is, there's no
Exactly.
bypassing accountability in nature. There's a breath of nature, there's seasons, there's a rhyme and a rhythm already built in within nature, and it is our honor and it's our joy to be in tune with that and to behave ourselves if possible. But like you said, there has been decisions made that we don't just get to flit around and make whatever we feel like timeline jumping. That's no, absolutely not. If we want to be on a crystalline timeline, it's about passing our initiations. The rising of that crystalline architecture comes from choosing and passing initiation after initiation, and resurrecting your goodness and your truth enough. So that's the core of you. You don't get to be in the crystalline timeline when you're outside of integrity. Because if you're outside of integrity, you're outside of your body. And I understand that people have a proclivity, some people, to have a disembodied sense of spirituality or disembodied sense of ascension. But that's not what it's about. There's a descension all the way through the body, and then you rise everything you are back up. So the crystalline timeline, in my understanding, is certainly not decided, by, it's for me. I know what I'm bound by. I'm bound by the 12 crystalline grandmothers who sing the song of the Eternal Mother into my body. That's what I'm bound by. And if I behave outside of that, I'm going to feel it fast. It's not something I can't be of that grace and of that beautiful receptivity and then just say, well, you know what, I'm just going to do what I want anyway. I'm not never How could you abandon the grace of being gifted life and gifted breath in every moment? People also need to remember humility and gratitude. Every breath is a gift. Breath is love. Like the first presence, the most intrinsic gift of love is breath. People need to be
Yes.
grateful and come back to. You see, people are resisting accountability, and I can feel it. And the ending of this subconscious free will, these false like you said, metatronic seed patterns that grew through us, that's all collapsing. It's not allowed anymore. And people
Exactly.
don't want to give it
Mhm.
up. Yeah, they don't want to give it up because they had so much fun. Well, some of us didn't have fun actually, because we were holding the crystal architecture the whole time waiting.
Human awakening.
So, you know, that's where we're coming to
Well,
now.
there,
It's not just a
yeah,
free wheeler, Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much for saying that about
Yeah.
accountability, because that's really what we're
Hmm.
witnessing here. The whole artificial world was created by the fallen angelics because they thought they could live outside of God's world and become gods themselves, which they did get
Yeah.
to do for a while because infinite creation allows everyone to play around. But they have brought this time matrix down to the point where they're trying to they've been trying to slide the entire five harmonic universes into their fallen universe to feed upon. And free will must be honored. And there's enough of us, Christic beings, that
Mm.
say, no, we don't want to be parasited anymore. But you're right. When you choose the Christic path, your accountability happens like right away. Like I can
Mm.
snap right away. And for me, I got a slap in the
One.
face because you know what? Being overly, like good, which is bullshit because
Yes.
it's not good. It's really just, but caring too much or whatever you want to say. I mean,
Mm.
I do respect myself for being that, but I do know I have let that go on a little bit too far for a little too long. And I got like not just slapped in the face, I'd say punched in the nose with it is
Yeah.
saying, basta, Elizabeth, no more.
Mhm.
You cannot continue that. It
Okay.
is not correctly aligned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're okay. We got to wrap this up. But it was our first show. But thank you, Mary, so much for coming. Any last words? Thank you for joining us to
Oh,
our audience.
thank you, Elizabeth. My last words are to see every moment as an initiation, where you are everything, every interchange, where you are asked to choose truth, loveness, core strength, and goodness, and
Okay.
allowance.
And
Allow everyone. Yeah.
And thank you for your lovely, loving presence. And to the audience, thank you so much. And to my past audience, please jump on. We're back in the saddle with some new great stuff. And for those that are just hearing me, thank you so much. I just love you so much. I'm so excited. And I have a lot of, I think, wise catalysts that will help you in these very interesting times ahead. So please tune back in next week for more of whatever. We'll see. Bye. Ciao.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.